Hi everyone, I'm Kevin, and this is HFX by Bike, a channel all about getting around Halifax by bike. Ketch Harbour is a community about 25 kilometers south of downtown and 17.5 kilometers south of the nearest suburb, Spryfield. It sits on the Sambro Loop, a popular recreational cycling path on the Chebucto Peninsula. It makes Ketch Harbour a popular rest stop and turnaround point for cyclists. I'm heading to a barbecue in the area, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to capture the trip on bike. I'll head from one of my regular haunts, Punch Hit Fitness in Spryfield, and head south along Herring Cove Road and Ketch Harbour Road until I reach the town. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 -2 along the way. Every time I encounter something that makes it safer or more convenient to go by bike, I'll add a point. And every time I encounter something that makes it less safe or less convenient, I'll take away 2 points. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. This is Herring Cove Road. It's an arterial with no bike infrastructure. But because it is a main road, at least the paving's good, I guess. This part of Spryfield does have some hills, but they're pretty gradual, and I think most people aren't going to have problems with them. This is the right turn lane for cars, but the bike icon means that I can proceed straight through because of the bike lane straight on the other side of the intersection. So I have the right of way relative to the car waiting to emerge in the intersection, but they're completely focused at looking for an opening in traffic, so I can't get eye contact or any other kind of acknowledgement that I'm here. So how confident am I that they both know that I'm here and that I have the right of way? Not very. So I'm going to go ahead and duck behind them and then emerge back into the intersection to make a right turn into the bike lane as soon as I have an opening. The bike icons are a good way of clarifying who has the right of way in this kind of scenario, but I personally have been burned way too many times by drivers ignoring bike-specific rights of way. This is just defensive riding, and I don't want to be in front of them. I'm in the bike lane now, and so that's the end of this section without any bike infrastructure. That ran for about 2 kilometers, so I'm going to give it my usual -2 per kilometer distance penalty. The bike lane ends ahead, but it seems like there's a shoulder to keep going on, so I'll just do that. The paving on the shoulder has really started to fall apart. These kinds of paved shoulders can act as a kind of painted bike lane. The big downside is that this far out of town there's no sidewalks, so you and the pedestrians are going to be sharing what essentially becomes a narrow, painted, multi-use path. And here's the bike lane picking back up again. There's a small beach at Long Pond that you can access through the bike lane. This section has really good paving, and I kind of wonder if the drop-off in the bike lane previously into that quasi-shoulder thing, I wonder if that's related to just needing to be repaved and not being up to current city standards. I don't know. Obviously, there's fewer of them and they're much further apart, but you can access all the businesses along the bike lane, like Pavia off to my right. The bike lane does just kind of end here without warning, so you are just being dumped into traffic. Between the bike lanes and the painted shoulder, I was able to stay out of traffic for about 5 kilometers. Oh hey, the paved shoulder's back. I'd say in general for this trip, the drivers have been pretty good, like there haven't been any close calls or close passes or anything, so that's good. I'm closing in on Ketch Harbour, so just a few things to note. This trip has some pretty good views of the Atlantic Ocean, although they probably didn't show up very well on the footage. It's non-stop once you get past Spryfield, so there's like no lights, only a handful of crosswalks you need to interact with, and that's pretty rare in Halifax if you're getting around by bike. And as you get further and further away from the city and out past the suburbs and into the more rural areas, even though you're on a painted lane, there's not that much traffic to deal with, so you do actually feel surprisingly comfortable. And the last thing is that I did manage to stay in this last stint out of traffic for a full 9 kilometers, so here are the bonus points. The trip from Spryfield to Ketch Harbour covered about 17.5 kilometers and ended up taking about 40 minutes in total. Most of the trip was covered by a combination of painted bike lanes and a paved shoulder, with the most stressful section being Spryfield itself. The distance means this kind of a trip isn't going to be super practical from a commuting perspective, especially if someone were trying to do something like getting to Ketch Harbour to downtown Halifax and back again each day. But it's fun as a recreational or sightseeing ride, if you're into that kind of thing. That's it for this one. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.